What you are witnessing is the conclusion of our 2023 Thanksgiving Turkey Project. Interested in doing one yourself? In this video, I will outline the basics of our project for this year. We got our 60 turkey poults on August 9th. We increased from 50 turkeys last year that were all sold out to 60 this year, and we had another sellout year. Just like with any other young poultry, poults need to be kept under a heat lamp until they are fully feathered out and able to regulate their body temperature themselves. We got our poults from our processor. He usually orders turkey poults and meat chicks in large quantities, so he gets them at a lower price and then passes the savings on to his local customers. This year's poults were $6 each. Unfortunately, so many people backed out of birds this year that he will not be offering this next year. So we are looking at paying $9 a bird from a hatchery and shipping them through the mail for 2024. Once they are feathered out enough, they make the transition to outdoor accommodations. This year, we didn't raise an August hatch of meat chickens, so our meat chicken tractor was vacant, which is where we kept the turkeys until they outgrew that space. Then they moved to the feed alley space in the cow barn, utilizing temporary pens to keep them in. Meat turkeys are too big and heavy to fly much, so once they get just so big, we were able to keep them in. Multi-use spaces are everything to me. This area also housed some pigs earlier in the summer for a short period of time because the cows typically don't need the entire feed alley space we have. When we first get the poults, we start by feeding them an unmedicated 28% turkey game bird starter crumb that we can buy for $31 per 100-pound bag. Once they started consuming a good amount of feed, we switched to a bulk feed order and a 1,500-pound tote on a pallet to get feed at a cheaper price, although we do have to unload it with our tractor. At 2 months old, we transitioned them to a 24% turkey grower pellet that our feed mill has offered for the first time this year. We find that pellets help them waste less feed. Last year, our turkeys were absolute monsters when kept on the 28% feed their entire lives, with dress weights between 17 and 34 pounds. Making the switch to the 24% grower kept weights much more reasonable, and most of our customers were much happier with weights ranging from 14.5 to 25 pounds. This entire group of turkeys consumed 4,600 pounds of feed throughout their lives and averaged 76.27 pounds of feed per bird. This is more efficient than the suggested estimate of 100 pounds per bird for broad-breasted whites, which I believe is due to their ability to free range for the majority of their lives. Our turkeys do not have 24/7 access to the outdoors due to predators that reside in the area surrounding our farm. My husband and I both work full-time off the farm, so whenever we are at work during the week, they are locked in. However, as soon as we get home from work, they are let out, and every available second, with daylight hours on the weekends, they are outside. Yes, even in the rain, they choose to go out. And every evening, we put them to bed and lock them back in the barn because we don't want to suffer unnecessary losses. As you can see in this video, turkeys are incredibly curious creatures and look for anything that they can to get into. Their specialty is pecking apart the pumpkins before we are able to feed them out to the sheep or the other poultry. The turkeys also clean up our garden once we are done for the growing season. It certainly doesn't take too much convincing to ask them to do that. A week before sending the birds to the processor, I typically take live weights on some of the birds to estimate what we will be looking at for dressed out weights. This year, I weighed every single bird. I am a numbers-based person, so once life slows down a bit, I plan on analyzing the dressed weights we received back and how they compared to the live weights I took the week before processing. This is the second year that we have used our livestock trailer for transport, which we purchased in June of 2022. Prior to the trailer, we would handle each turkey individually, we only did 30 this way, restrain them by putting them headfirst into a feed bag with a hole cut into it and placing them in the bed of our pickup truck. Utilizing the trailer is a much more humane and efficient way to transport them. Once the turkeys were loaded into the trailer, they did calm down instantly. Last year's birds barely fit with only 50 birds, but since our birds were smaller this year, you can see that we definitely could have fit more than 59 in here. We pick the birds up on the same day they are sent to the processor, usually around 5 p.m. I spent the hour drive home organizing weights and sending out total prices to our customers. Once we got home, the gizzards needed to be cleaned and packaged up for giblets, and the turkeys are bagged and labeled for individual customers. This year, we had some help from our farming friends over at Firefly Farm located in Angelica. It went much smoother, and as you can see, we have a few more photos of pickup because of Jesse. Thank you, Jesse. Our customers usually pick up directly from our farm, which is kind of in the middle of nowhere for many of our customers, but since we both work full-time and have young children, there isn't much of another option at this point. The following 2 days are always stressful, making sure that every bird gets to the correct customer. But here we are just over 48 hours from sending them to the processor, and every single bird is at their destination, ready for Thanksgiving. We would like to thank all of our local customers for another successful year. We would not be able to do it without all of you.